Good afternoon, everyone. I am Umang, and on behalf of Daily Hunt and MASH Project Foundation, I would like to welcome all of you to this very special discussion today on the theme of nutrition as we celebrate National Nutrition Week. With this conversation, we aim to understand the current landscape of nutrition within India. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed guests for this discussion. We have with us Miss Aditi Mehrotra. Welcome to the discussion, ma'am. Aditi, a two-time gold medalist, winner of the Best Health Innovator Award 2020 and Women of the Future Award 2019, completed her internship in dietetics from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi in 1995. Currently, she is conducting the Arnie's Fit Kids School Nutrition Program, an initiative of Arnie's Backyard in leading schools of Delhi NCR. Aditi has recently authored a course book on nutrition, Aaj Kya Khaya, for students from grade 1 to 5. She has also co-authored a book, I Am Tamanna, published by Hay House Publishers 2019. She is the editor of Fearless Governance, a book by Dr. Kiran Bedi, and her book titled Diet Debauchery is in the final stages of the first edit with Hay House Publishers. It's an honor to have you with us, ma'am. Next, we have with us Ms. Kavita Devgan. Hello, ma'am, and welcome to the discussion.
Thank you.
A Delhi-based consultant nutritionist specializing in weight loss, lifestyle modification, and holistic wellness, Kavita has not only written insightful articles and made literary contributions to leading media publications, but she is also the author of The Immunity Diet, Fight Off Infections, The Don't Diet Plan, Don't Diet, 50 Habits of Thin People, and Ultimate Grandmother Hacks, 50 kick-ass traditional habits for a fitter you, and fix it with foods. And welcome to the discussion, ma'am. It's an absolute honor to have you here. And finally, we have Simran Oberoi. Welcome, ma'am, to the discussion. Simran
Hi, thank
founded,
you.
yes, ma'am. Simran founded the Oh Wonderful Mom Bakers community in 2014, which is now 40,000 members strong, with the focus on healthy baking entirely. Apart from that, a huge degree of commitment is present within the group to contribute to community causes through their healthy baking, using ancient super grains and foods via directly baking for NGOs and distributing or baking for fundraisers. The government of Karnataka has collaborated with the community as part of the International Millets Fair 2018 to promote the use of healthy millets in our bakes. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. It's an honor having you here with us. So with this, I would hand it over to Simran, who will be leading this discussion, and we all look forward to an insightful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umang, for the wonderful discussion and the introduction. It's great to see, a discussion happening on such an important topic. What I would like to do is thank both our panelists for being here. All of us, I think, bring very different and diverse opinion to the plate, and I'm sure everybody who's attending is looking forward to the discussion today. I think, let's get started. So I think one of the things that Umang started our discussion really with was the landscape in India. So the evolution of the nutrition landscape in India. The one thing, and I'd like to open it out to both of you to share your expertise in that space, primarily from, since you're working very closely with different schools, you've seen the movement in the landscape in the last few years. It's important for us to understand and contextualize that how are we consuming our food, okay, in India. So things which were not part of our dining tables have become an important part of our dining tables now. Things that children or adults were not consuming maybe 10 to 15 years ago, maybe even 2 decades ago, are things that are consumed regularly, not as a one-off, but regularly now. So obviously, there's a pattern change. It's driven by changes in society. It's driven by changes in our, what we want to eat. So there's a lot of things that are, that are changing in the last few years. So if I can request both of you to sort of share what are these trends that you're observing in your experience in this landscape here.
We'll go first.
Yeah, Aditi, if you can go first, maybe Since you're working also with a lot of small children, right? I understood that from your bio. So I think if you can give us some insight from a public health also point of view in terms of the trends you're seeing.
Okay, so at the very outset, I just wanted to thank you because I'm so glad that you people are in sync with my sentiments that I have for nutrition, and I know every day is Nutrition Day because I feel that these annual observances to celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, Sister's Day, saluting their contribution in our lives.
Yes.
We don't need a nutrition day or a nutrition week or a nutrition month at an individual level, but I always say nutrition nourishes our body, and such relationships, parents, sister, brother, sibling, all these nourish our souls. And from a nutritionist, from a person who started her career as a diet consultant 24 years back, till now I feel that I started as just a diet consultant working in collaboration with the doctors. Then I went on to offering preventive nutrition diets, preventive diets for the entire family. And then I realized that prevention starts very early in life, so let's get going and start addressing the the children, because the nutrition landscape, or the food landscape, I would say, has changed enormously. When we talk about, and now especially now when we are post COVID pandemic,
Yeah.
because that has thrown fresh new challenges at overcoming the global and domestic nutrition crisis. So there was a disrupted food supply chain, and there were supply shocks, and so post pandemic continues to expose weaknesses in our food system. But if we talk about food consumption trends, there has been not much of a change. In fact, there was a study which I can never forget. It is by FAO, and they had examined the food consumption pattern of Indians over 50 years.
Got it.
Of course, mine has been just about 24 years into this field, but they found up to 2011, they found that the average daily calorie consumption, earlier used to be around 2000 kilocalorie a day for a meal, and this has grown to almost 2500 calories. And the calorie sources, or the food sources, are now not the ones that we get used to eat, the grains and the vegetables and fruit. It is more, open a packet and eat, or processed food
Yeah.
or packet. So
Yeah.
I think there has been a lot of change. We are always looking for quick fix solutions, ready to eat, Zomato, deliver, get home, so like that. So I feel there is a huge change. And for us, it is like we are always on the edge because we don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with
Yeah.
you, Aditi. I think that's a very valuable insight. Kavita, from your perspective, also, any specific trends you noticed from a consumption point of view in the Indian landscape that you've observed in your experience in the last so many years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is one that worries me the most, what Aditi has just pointed out. You know, eating out too often. While we were growing up, it was probably as a treat once a month.
Correct.
And
Yes.
how I wish we could go back to the simpler time where we could get
Correct.
our children to, start eating out just once a month. But I think that boat has sailed. Home cooking has become very negligible now. It's
Yeah.
much less than, I mean, I fear that it's much less than what we see also. Most
Right.
of the food that people are consuming today is not made at home. Forget from
Yeah.
scratch. I mean, that's not possible now. Times have changed. But the cooking, the home cooking has reduced to such an extent that it really, really worries me. I've written
Right.
about that extensively because it bothers me. It's something
Yeah.
that I feel which is such a basic requirement to stay healthy,
Correct.
and we are flouting it in every single household. So that's one issue that pains me a lot. The second,
Right.
which is a direct response to this,
Result.
is, yeah, result to this is overweight and earlier lifestyle diseases. I mean, when you see children around you carrying
Yes.
so much extra weight, the connect, right? You can see the
Yes.
connect. So I
Yes.
feel that, and that, of course, as you grow older, leads to
Yeah.
younger age lifestyle diseases. And uh, an epidemic, literally, of lifestyle diseases is, exploding in the country. So this is a negative, but
Absolutely.
I would always like to never end on a negative. The only positive trend that I see around lately, especially, maybe it has been hastened by the pandemic. I don't know, or it's already coming or in the process. Is more usage of plant-based foods. I think that's
Right.
the silver lining that I see around.
Correct. Correct.
How that is gaining a lot of takers. So I think
Right.
these two I would
Right.
like to mention.
Very important trends, Kavita, that you've highlighted. I would like to, maybe if we can spend a couple of times on a very key issue, because I'm sure there are parents who are attending this session. So, from the nutritional status of children, because you just mentioned about obesity, about, overweight, the challenges that are
Yeah.
resulting from the kind of food habits that the children are currently imbibing. So, is how important is it for us as parents, really? And I'm saying this as I'm a healthy baker, so I see the kind of exposure that children get to umpteen number of things. Like you rightly said, the concept of consumerism has become so high. The concept of quick fix, instant gratification in everything, even with food, has become so high. How, this what is the what is this alarming situation about the nutritional status of the children, and how can probably we as parents be more aware of things that we can do? Because I understand everybody's working, we want to be also cognizant of the challenges that exist today, maybe that did not exist 20 years back. So from a
So the
nutritional status point of view, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand. I mean, exactly what I said at the outset. Things have
Yeah.
changed. That both
Right.
has same. We can't expect to go back to that situation, right? But at the
Correct.
same time, some disciplining, some
Yeah.
rule making in terms
Yes.
of what you're eating, how much you're eating, is so very important.
Very
Because
important.
one, it's going to take care of your nutrition needs today, right?
Yes.
For the child as well as for the entire family. And second, the child is going to grow up learning that there is a
Yeah.
way to give food. It's not free for all.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so very important for the child to learn this right at the
Very
outset.
critical. Very,
Food
very
is
critical.
not just for comfort, food is not just for taste. This
Yeah.
has to be drilled into the child and firstly the parents. First, the
Yes.
parents need to be educated, and then they
Correct.
have to teach by example to children that food is fine, it's comfort, it's taste, but
Yes.
most importantly, it is nutrition. And this is one
Yeah.
part that you cannot discount. They have to
Absolutely.
understand that the body, every single bite that they're eating, it's a very
Yes.
heavy lesson to teach. But the earlier
Yes.
we start teaching the children, the better it will be for us. If
I
parents can make
completely agree.
rules once a
Correct.
week, don't go
Yes.
back to once a month, but
Right.
once a week, maybe the food which involves eating out as well as takeaways as well as ordering in,
Yeah. Correct.
not one. So, like once
Yes.
a week, if you can make that rule and stick to it as long as you can with the child,
Yes.
slowly, I think the habits will start changing. I personally
Definitely. Definitely. What about you, Aditi? I think, again, given your extensive work with school children, I wanted to, also invite you for your perspective on, how do you think this challenge of the nutritional status of the children is extremely worrying? I have two small children, and I know I'm constantly worried about what they're eating. But I think, like I said, everybody's looking to learn more. So I'm sure there are parents out there who want to learn more about how they can actually imbibe those kind of habits, from a nutrition point of view for the children.
I completely agree with what Kavita is saying about, children have to be taught. This is, healthy eating is a life skill. You have
Yes.
to you have to instill it. It has to be another chapter in their, or another lesson in their curriculum. Just to add, I am part of Food Future Foundation that is working on coming up with a curriculum. We are designing a curriculum for introducing nutrition literacy, food literacy in children from, I mean, it is a K-12 model.
Lovely.
So we want to start or begin right from when a child is away from from home and goes to the school, that's
Right.
when he's learning or she's learning ABCs. And around the same
Right.
time, if we start giving them the correct information about diet, it need not be that there is good food, there is bad food, because this is what we've seen in the pattern. There are no books mentioning, there are no courses in
Yes.
any of the grades mentioning
True.
food behaviors, and
Correct.
some of them are actually stating or talking about age old techniques and technology in
Mm.
agriculture. We have added green revolution, milk revolution, sorry, white revolution, yellow revolution, all of that. But the
Yes.
conversation around food is so limited. Food is
Yeah.
just considered in silos. It is
Yes.
not interlinked with nutrition, not interlinked with climatic effects, not
Correct.
interlinked with planet health. So,
Absolutely.
and the medical and dietetics fraternity has been shouting hoarse that clean eating, clean is the new organic. I don't know
Yeah.
why we are always skewing our diet intake. We are not consuming the food in its natural state all the time. We
Yes.
just want to, it's very easy for us to pop in a turmeric pill rather than,
Mm.
making a dish with, turmeric has its own effects
Yes.
once it is heated or it comes
Absolutely.
in contact with any fat. So I don't know why we are doing that. We want to change the natural beauty and the qualities of food. We want to make an extract, we want to powder it, we want to fill it into those gelatinous capsules and then have it. I don't know
True.
why we are doing that. So it's such an easy thing, to all the parents out there who are listening. I just want to tell you this, that your diet has to be diverse, just like
Yeah.
you offer a color palette to the child, okay, go paint your own white canvas. Similarly, put the blank plate, white plate, and then try to engage your child in doing a rainbow kind of a diet where most of the colors are already there. And then
Right.
again, cereal based diet, what are you offering? The child is
Absolutely.
always wanting to go
Yeah.
for dal chawal, rajma chawal, because it's easier to just swallow and then get back to the game or get back to the screens. But it
Correct.
is so important that as parents, are we including the millets, sorghum, amaranth, so
Yeah.
many of them, they are
Correct.
super greens, but are we
Yeah.
doing that? So we have to really really make an effort at that level. And then of
Mm.
course, good habits form early in life, and parents also are going to eat healthy. They will be
Yeah.
role models. So I think there will be a lot of change.
Absolutely. I completely agree with, both of you. I think the biggest point that's coming out is information, empowering them with information. That's one of the big things that's coming out, especially, and don't worry about their age, whatever's age appropriate, start sensitizing them to that information early on. Like for me, when my son started reading, he's 9.5, I have made sure that whenever we step out to any store, he'll read the nutritional information that's there. I'm not saying it's most authentic, but whatever nutritional information is there, it sort of also serves as a deterrent to him, that okay, what is this thing that is there in this, and I encourage him to research. I do the research myself, and I tell him, what, this is something that we should not be consuming. But the point is, to have that conversation, I have to first allow him to look at that information. So I think
This
that
is
has
super
helped.
impressive. I'm so impressed. Had I
So
had a medal, I would have given it to you right away.
oh, they read all the labels, they read
Yes,
both my kids now.
very
And he reads it aloud for his sister now, because she's small, she's younger. The
uh,
second thing we do is we make it a point to cook together. So we bake together, cook together. That I think has also helped them to develop interest in a lot of the different kind of food items. So I think those factors have sort of helped. I'm sure, things like discipline, definitely, I think all of these areas put together will go a long way in the health of the children. Another age group that sort of seems to be a little bit of a worrying situation is those who are 20 plus. So adults who are basically 20 plus, and then they want to go in for a specific kind of diet. They are reading again. For them, I think information has become, all over the place. So they have easy access to information. They don't know how to process it. They will, go in for anything that is in the flow in the news right now. So what do you suggest or share from a dietary intake point of view, key foods they should focus on, key nutrients that they should put their attention towards, rather than just going in every direction?
So I
Kavita.
think it's very, yeah, I think it's very, very important. I think with millennials, let me just start on a positive
Yeah.
note. One thing I've noticed in clients and children, family, friends, that logic works. You try and not dictate them,
Yeah.
because that never works. If you give
Correct.
them explanations, if you give them logic, I personally feel there's a better chance. I'm not saying 100% chance, but a better chance of acceptance. Because this
Yes.
generation, maybe far too much for their own good, but they research extensively. For any
Yes.
single thing that they have to decide on, the amount of hours that they put in for research for that thing sometimes gets a bit much,
True.
but maybe it can be channeled right for this
Correct.
particular field, of what to eat and what not to eat. So
You're right.
if we can encourage them to, yes, learn more about food, but at the same time, with a disclaimer, with a warning that too much information is not too good. And it's always important to speak to a professional or somebody who's actually studied or
Yes.
in the field,
Absolutely.
to
Correct.
get the doubts cleared. Because
Yes.
after all, this is not like you buying a wrong racket. If you
Correct.
suppose in research and you buy a wrong badminton racket, what will it do? You just waste the money, right? But
Yes.
when it comes to food, if you
Yeah.
read the wrong research and you follow that, you're going to harm
Yes.
your own body. And you don't,
Yes.
unlike a racket, you cannot buy a new body. So it's
Yes.
very important to get this to them, that it's important that the information that you are digesting is authentic. And for that, there
Yes.
should be no shame in speaking to a professional, reading books that are
Yes.
authentic,
Correct.
reading or following, even on because they are more internet or Google savvy. So, but choose your source right. I mean, there are
Carefully.
websites which are authentic. So they should be able to identify which ones to follow. So with that
Absolutely.
generation and age group, I mean, definitely the way to handle them is a little more challenging compared to younger children, I feel. But then,
Right.
like I said, logic works. So that's the only tool we can use with them, frankly.
Perfect. Perfect. That makes sense. Absolutely. Over to you, Aditi.
I'd like to add here, I have dealt with a lot of, these young adults, and they have their own rule book when it comes to food. They have their own rule book. They will not listen to, and that is a time when probably
True.
they are exhibiting a new sense of independence. I call
Yes.
them the media obsessed, generation, and you can't help it. It is the era that they are living in, where whatever one eats is posted and uploaded on social media, and the rest of the family keeps waiting once they're done, and they've posted, then we can take the first bite. It's like that.
So true.
But
So true.
but the problem is that this has led to a new term that has come into existence, and you know uh, it's not a very positive term, which is called the hungry brain. It is actually a result of too much of visual attention to any of the desirable foods, and then look at the kind of advertisements, because there are so many apps where you can download food, download the apps and then order in food. So media has a lot of role to play for this particular generation. Haven't you heard of that saying where we eat first with our eye? It actually makes sense with this generation, where
Particularly.
visual
Correct.
appeal influences the overall pleasure. uh, so
Absolutely.
so I feel their landscape, food landscape, which is the contemporary landscape, is altered largely due to the dominance of the global food
Yeah.
companies, and
Yes.
again the HFSS comes in here, the high foods high in fat, sugar, and salt. Now,
Mm.
where will they make choices? And as Kavita rightly said, that they need help. They have to. We go for our dental checkup. Why can't these
Correct.
youngsters go to a diet consultant or a
Exactly.
nutritionist and just
Absolutely.
get a feel of whether they are going in the right direction? Because I remember when I was a very young mother, I used to attend birthday parties. Sometimes the mothers are also invited, so that they can take care of the babies. And I was shocked to see so much food color. They
Yeah.
are so
Oh,
color crazy, and they'll do up the rainbow themes. They'll do up the rainbow red cake, this cake, that cake. And uh, recently I went to attend somebody's wedding, and these edible inkjet cakes, My God, I didn't
Wow.
realize that I ate up the bride's eyes. It is so funny. Why are we printing all this? Why are we getting too
Yeah,
much
yeah,
into
exactly.
artificiality? So
Absolutely.
these youngsters, this Gen Z is really confused because they have to be taken back or pulled back up
Yeah.
to show them the food landscape, that this is how you can make your plate and your diet diverse. That is very
Yeah.
important, and that would happen once you just handhold them for a while, and then I think they're going to be good to go. Discipline again, which Kavita
Mm,
also
yep.
mentioned. They have
Yeah.
to do it, because any youngster gets into a gym routine would, the gym instructor becomes the god. So whatever he or she would say, they would want results, quick results. So I
Right.
think, right from when they finished their teens and they're entering into the young adult category, they must visit a professional who can actually sit down and just chalk out their diet program. That's it.
Correct. Absolutely. So, so because we're, now we are obviously hearing what exactly is the landscape, how these different age groups are responding to it, what kind of support they definitely should be reaching out for. I think maybe we can start with what are the biggest myths or misconceptions around nutrition that, each of us could probably share,
Yeah.
which we can break for the audience here. So if all of us can maybe share three of those, each of us can spend some time sharing those and help the audience understand what are the biggest myths. So maybe Aditi, if you can go first and share the three myths that should be busted about nutrition.
Okay, I used to write a column on myths and all. So the favorite was that you're a diabetic, stop rice, stop potatoes, and even for the non-diabetic, potatoes always receive bad press. It is it is such a potassium rich vegetable. It is such an amazing vegetable. I
Yeah.
think Indians can't do without potatoes.
True.
Every vegetable's companion is an aloo in the diet for whatever reason. And it is how we use it, how we cook it. We are going to just dunk it into oil and then make fries out of it, or we are baking it, or we are, so it depends on how or what we are going to use it as or use it in. Now, poor alus in samosa. I mean, it that is the time when I feel so sad about potatoes, that it's gone into the casing of a samosa, and it is
Yeah.
dunked into oil and fried,
Well,
and then everybody would remove the poor potatoes and then eat up the
eat outside.
out, yeah, casing. So I think that is one myth I really want to bust here, that please go ahead, eat your potatoes, eat all the root and tubers, and they are very good. In fact, a sweet potato is a superfood which
Yeah,
nobody knows about. And
correct.
for us, superfoods are all whatever is coming from the west, quinoa,
Yeah,
all these things are
exactly.
superfoods.
Exactly.
So that is
Exactly.
one. Number two, I would say, a myth that I came across much too often during the pandemic was, raw food diet. One has to just get to the raw food diet because it provides enzymes that are essential for healthy digestion. It will help us with immunity. But what people didn't realize is that everybody went on to have kada, okay, because, oh,
Yeah.
COVID and this and that, and they overdid it. And we
Yes,
started with
yes,
the
overdid
pandemic
it massively.
massively. It started in March, so by the time the WhatsApp university could send out
It's
its
working full
messages
time.
full time, yes, and by the time people would start doing that, it was May, and during hot summer months, we were
Yeah, people having
actually
kara.
kara. And they don't understand, there is misconnotation of an Ayurved diet or a sattvic
Yeah,
diet. It's
correct,
largely misunderstood for being raw
correct.
consumption, and the enzymes present in raw food, they are very good for the health. But I wanted to just tell them that please slow down, don't mistake
Yeah,
aushadhi with Ayurved. Food is
yeah,
aushadhi
yeah,
as well as Ayurved. In Ayurved science, enzymes that are present in the food are for their own survival of the plants. They're not
correct.
essential for the human health. Um, some of the enzymes are effective and absorbed once they are subjected to gentle heat. So we just went overboard, so we can't be doing
Yeah,
this all the time. We're living on a food or a raw food diet, and we forget about any cooked dals and all.
Correct.
And so this is number two. That is my top favorite. And number three is anybody, mm, when self advocates and takes, their child off gluten, or
Hmm.
they start
Correct.
advocating and cooking a gluten free, casein free diet,
Yeah.
GFCF diet, which is
Hmm.
so, I mean, I can't fathom this, that, gluten free diets are healthier. Sorry, not gluten free diets are healthier. But if you are having some kind of a, celiac disease problem, or you
Yeah.
have sensitivity to gluten, that is the time when, again, go to the practitioners, go to the
Yeah.
doctor, go to the
Correct.
nutritionist. He's going to
Yes.
tell you that the protein found in, the gluten, the protein is really not going to be good for you if you are sensitive to gluten. So that is one thing that I really don't, there could
Yeah.
be, you could be sensitive to milk, or you have lactose intolerance. There are two different things.
Different
So you
things.
can't
Exactly.
self-diagnose, and you can't just advocate it. You can't be
Absolutely.
done that.
Very true.
So these are
Very
the
true.
three top myths
Very true
that
and very
I
valid.
always
Very valid. Very true. Yes, Kavita, we want to hear your top three also.
I think this could be actually a book.
Big
Myths,
book.
definitely. That's 50,000 words straight away. But if I have to talk about three, the first one, which I just have to mention, and such an old myth that everyone has been trying to bust it, but it's very deep. That fat free is calorie free.
Ah,
Fat
correct.
free, cholesterol free, sugar free. I mean, these phrases, they're all just marketing phrases, strategy. People need to
Mm.
understand that, fat free foods might actually contain more number of calories than the regular version. Look at the
True.
labels. Similarly, the
Yeah.
foods which are touted as cholesterol free, frankly,
Mm.
might be richer in saturated fats, or
Yeah.
trans fatty acids. So it's
Correct.
just going to go by one, claim that, oh, and my favorite, sugar free. What have they added instead of sugar? At least read the labels. Is there a
Yes.
sweetener which is bad for you?
Yes.
Would you
What is
rather
safe?
eat like about maybe 50 calories less, but eat something that could probably have some relationship with your memory loss slightly later
Yeah.
in life? So
Yeah.
please make informed decisions. Do not fall for these marketing catchphrases, as I like to call them. I mean, people do, which is why they're written in bold right in the front of
Yes.
the labels, frankly. So get the right details, check the
Yeah.
labels, do not fall for them. In fact, if a food is trying to push itself as supremely healthy, I'm sure they have something to hide. So
Yeah.
do check the
True.
labels a little more carefully in these cases.
Yeah.
That's the first one, which is, although it's really old, spoken about a lot, but I thought I must mention it again. The second one that I want to mention, which I see every single day in my practice, this whole concept or the idea that is, stuck in people's minds, that if you
Hmm.
miss meals or if you go on a
Yeah.
starvation diet, you will lose weight. The
Yeah.
exact opposite is going to happen. Take it from me.
Yes.
One, it's
Yeah.
not sustainable. You can't skip meals. You can't keep skipping meals. And second,
Yeah.
even if you think that you can, you have an iron will or whatever, your
Yeah.
body chemistry is not going to allow it at all. You will
Yes.
end up eating more in the next meal. You will end up snacking on the wrong food. The
Yes.
cravings will just go sky high, and
Correct.
it is not going to work. And of course, we will shortchange on nutrients. I mean, I'm more concerned about that, frankly.
The nutrients. Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
second myth that I just want to talk about. That it will not lead to weight loss. It'll probably
Yeah.
lead to a sluggish, exhausted body,
Yeah.
wherein you're going to be snapping at people. And here, in
Yeah.
fact, I would like to add the carbohydrate myth, that let's go off carbohydrates completely if we are trying to lose weight. That's a part of this missing meals and starvation myth that I want to
Right.
talk about. You'll be one unhappy person and you'll make everybody around you unhappy.
Yes.
The third myth,
Absolutely.
oh, again, this one is so basic. People think that supplements are a solution to
Oh,
everything.
yes. Yeah.
They don't equate. Supplements do not equal to solution. They
Yeah.
are required in specific situations,
Yeah.
under specific guidance of
Guidance. Yeah.
professionals.
True.
One, toxicity is a huge problem which people don't understand. If you don't need a supplement and keep having it, it's probably going to worsen something else in your body, and that's not
True.
something that you want. Second,
True.
almost every single nutrient that a body needs, your food can provide. In certain specific cases, maybe yes, you do need help with supplements, but most
Right.
of the nutrients the body needs, the amounts that we need, can easily be handled through your through a proper intake of diet. And third,
Right.
very importantly, you know thinking that taking a shortcut and just popping a
Hmm.
pill is going to help you, it will
Yes.
not, because
Yes.
nutrition science is very, very nascent. We all know, Aditi
Yeah.
would agree. We all know
Yeah.
that things are so dynamic that they're changing daily. Frankly, as a
Yeah.
nutritionist
Very
today, I
true.
know more than what I did yesterday,
Yeah.
frankly.
Correct. Correct.
But one thing which has been clear from day one is that food and the nutrients that it has, they work in synergy with each other.
With each
It's
other.
not that
True.
a particular nutrient in a particular food, like for example, amla has vitamin C, but that's not
Hmm.
all that the gooseberry gives you. It gives you a lot of
Correct.
other
Other
nutrients that
things.
all work together. So when you're
Correct.
popping vitamin C pill, that's all you're getting. So try to
Correct.
understand, it's best to
Yeah.
stick to what is proven. And I don't
Absolutely.
think we can better nature. We
Yeah.
just can't. We've tried over millennia, but we
Yeah.
haven't been able to. So, as far as possible, stick to natural food, is what I want to say.
Yeah. No, I think beautifully put. I think both of you have shared
Absolutely.
such important myths that people generally have from the point of view of nutrition, that I hope that the information you've shared opens eyes, helps people understand and take informed decisions about their own nutrition, and they take ownership for their own nutrition. So from my perspective, I think a couple of things that I feel, that I have seen primarily is, one is that people think if it's healthy, let's eat as much. I think portion control does not exist, in a lot of people. So I just feel that that is something that I, have to keep. And I think maybe because I'm in that healthy baking space, and I think that it tends to happen with bakes also. So which is why I have to keep constantly telling people that, just because it's healthy, it doesn't need to be unlimited. There is a portion, there is something called moderation. We need to follow that irrespective. Okay, so it's not something that, you need to just from a just it's nutritious, you need to eat it, but you need to manage how you're eating it also. That's
Correct.
important. This
Yes, yes,
this
definitely.
that's one thing that I've sort of come across as a challenge. The second thing, I think I'll take back to your point that Aditi, you shared, that your food does not need to come in a container from thousands of miles away. Okay, you have to eat local. Like, I moved to Bangalore 10 years back. I had no idea about things like ragi. Okay, in India there is so much diversity of food, right? If I haven't been exposed to ragi, and I have now moved to a place where ragi is a staple, ragi grows here. Okay, I want to introduce it to my children. I want my children to understand what the farmers are growing and what comes to us directly from here. Okay, because I want that understanding of what is local and does not need to be imported. I'm not saying that other parts of India, so whatever you eat, generally we eat in India, yeah, it's good, it's important. But I think maybe being sub local, also making sure things like I said, we don't need to have somebody said in some other part of the country that frozen berries is good. We don't need to get frozen berries. If we have whatever we fruits are available in India are good enough for us. So I just feel that that myth of, okay, this is got some nutritional value which we'll not get in anything else in our own country, is also a big myth. And the third thing I think is that we can exercise everything away. So I think, not directly related to nutrition, I just feel that people think that apart from even if we don't eat nutritious, we can whatever we eat, everything can be dealt with it with exercise. Okay, I think that's the biggest myth. You need to address the nutrition part first. You can't be really looking at an additional ancillary thing to address a situation as a stopgap. So I think these things, I think, probably are challenges, I'm sure, that most people are facing, grappling with. So how do we give them some ideas? So maybe, Kavita, if I can start with you first. How can we give them some ideas on how to develop a healthy relationship, a healthy, happy relationship with their food? What can they do actively, proactively, to some ideas, maybe two or three good ideas which will help them?
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you what. There is this. This is very actually close to my heart, and because I feel there are a lot of people who go wrong here. This is from my second book, Ultimate Grandmother Hacks, and this is something I like to teach even my clients on a regular basis. We can't escape the fact that we all need comfort from time to time, and food has been one zone that everyone
Correct.
yeah, goes to. So we can't fight it. I mean, I
Correct.
don't say stop eating comfort food. I can't, because it's not going to happen. I know that, right? So what I try to tell people is that choose your comfort foods carefully. You know, understand that junk food cannot be your comfort food. It'll give you comfort for exact 5 seconds and then make you feel worse, because there's science behind it, right? Your sugar will shoot up and then it'll drop and you'll feel bad about yourself. So choose your comfort foods very carefully. Here
Absolutely.
again, I feel rituals at home are very important. The comfort foods that you learn are comfort foods if they are home cooked foods, then children
Correct.
learn to fall back on them even when they grow up. Like, for
Correct.
example, for somebody, it could be maybe the kheer that was made at home. So now I would personally prefer that kheer as a comfort food, which is made at home, compared to, say, a humongous piece of, like, say, ready-made, a big donut or something like that.
Correct.
Because you're
Correct.
craving for
Absolutely.
sugar, go for a comfort food which at least you know the ingredients of and can control. So these rituals, I feel, again, it's a responsibility of the parents to, like they teach them other stuff, also make sure that there are certain comfort food rituals that are done as they're growing up. But if you're already an adult, for example, now too you can change your habits to quite an extent. Science is very clear that there are certain ingredients or compounds in foods that actually do provide comfort to you or cheer you up, or which are called happy foods, as we call them. Like, for
Right.
example, chickpeas, it's proven as a compound that helps. Turmeric is supposedly a big antidepressant. People think of it only as an immunity booster. I personally feel that healthy doodh is the happiest food that you can incorporate in your diet, which will keep depression away and keep your stress in check. So, incorporate a few of these regular foods so that you don't have to look at stopgaps. So that's the first. I feel we need to correct this food
Correct.
behavior of using wrong foods as comfort foods. Junk foods are not comfort foods, so don't equate them with comfort at all. The
Right.
second important thing that I want to talk about is, in fact, in my latest book, this is the chapter, The Immunity Diet. I feel, we've all spoken about stress and the impact has on our
Yeah.
weight and everything. That's a given. Everyone understands that point. One point I want everyone to understand is how you eat is as important, literally exactly as important as what you're eating. If you're
Correct.
wolfing down
Very true.
food in a lot of stress, it's not going to do you any good. And I'm not just talking out of my hat here, there's science behind
Right.
it. Because if you're eating
Absolutely.
food in comfort minus any stress, that's what the chapter is called, Eat Minus Stress. By
Right.
focusing on your food, every single bite that you're having, your body is going to draw more nutrition from it. It's very simple, because your digestion starts
Correct.
actually right in the brain first, even before the
Correct.
stomach. So it's
Correct.
important to eat right. Important to eat right meaning not just the food, but also how you're eating it so that you can make the most of the food that you're eating. That's another
Correct.
way to improve your relationship with food. And finally, the last one, which I keep telling everyone, this is something I wrote in my very first book, Don't Diet. Do not do guilt. So what if you had
Yes.
that jamun?
Correct.
Fine. Your weight is not a result of your short term
True.
decisions. Your weight is the
True.
result of your long term decisions, what you're eating over the long term. Don't do guilt. It will be very, very counterproductive, not just to your weight, but to your health, to your thinking, to your soul, mind, everything. Quit guilt. Just move on. Get up and move on.
Correct. Very true and very well said. I think that is so important for everybody to understand because, I think it becomes a sort of vicious cycle. You guilt
Yeah,
trip and then you end up eating something else. I just feel that, there is so much of emotional eating that happens because of guilt also. So I feel, very, very
absolutely.
valid point that you've brought up, Kavita. I think it's phenomenal that you've raised this. Very important. Aditi, if you can share some ideas, with everybody here that, how can we develop healthy relationships with our food items?
So I'll just further add to what Kavita said. Mindful eating, forming
Yeah.
a healthy relationship with food. I think it takes you have to take a conscious effort in actually building the relationship. You have to eat in a relaxed environment. You have to choose your own preferences, and you have to practice balance. I know it's very difficult, but
Yes.
when anybody talks to me about food, or when I'm addressing these young teenagers in schools, I ask them, um, how can a scale measure your worth? Do you
Correct.
exist only to lose weight, gain weight, eat to
Correct.
live to eat, lose belly fat? What is all this? You have a
Correct.
larger role to play. I tell them that
True.
underlying purpose of their existence is not just uh, you know uh, talking and thinking about their body image and all. And they have to, like Kavita mentioned, you have to stop feeling guilty. You have to say goodbye to that inner critic, and
Yeah.
you have to replace that inner critic with getting reacquainted with your health coach, that is you yourself. Nobody knows your body better than you yourself. Of course, you would want a hand holding, or maybe somebody to just help you form the diet,
Correct.
how it is going to be, how the menu is going to be planned, and then you're good to go. Because there are so many pressures that everyone faces, be it at a school level, be it with the peers or with
Correct.
parents, or largely our culture. So
Yes.
they can't turn to or away from food to help them cope with stress. That is not how we are looking at stress. Number
Correct.
two, which has really helped me, is when I started a conversation about food with them, I told them that you have to first identify whether you are getting into emotional hunger,
Yeah.
emotional eating, or it is, you'll have to sort of identify, like emotional hunger craves specific comfort foods. And of course, the comfort foods are largely very high in saturated fat, sugar,
Yeah.
salt. So, is it that, or is it the physical hunger? Physical hunger will set in gradually, within the tummy. You're going to experience physical hunger because your body demands nutrition.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to differentiate between the two. And emotional hunger is definitely mindless eating.
Yeah.
So we have
Absolutely.
to be able to uh, think of that. And you can't, and there are just small little questions you need to ask, that do you eat even when you're not physically hungry? Do you
Yeah.
have a sense of temporary emotional relief after
Yeah.
having eaten food? So all
True.
this, once you have been able to gauge for yourself, then don't
Mhm.
entertain thoughts that are coming, as that, oh, I'll have a immediate pickup if I go or reach out for that coffee, a cup of coffee, or a small little cake. Let me go ahead with one small little donut or a bagel. All that is just something that is not going to help you with that. So
Correct.
the conversation, the relationship that you have with food, with youngsters, we play a lot of games around food, and we are building a positive relationship towards food by showing them or taking them to the farm, to the farmers, to the
Yeah.
fields, to these fresh farm markets and all. And the way they are, you know sort of dealing with food, handling food. Because there was one activity I just want to share with you here, that I showed the children cut out of cut fruit, and then I showed them the real fruit, and I said, can you match them, a cut piece of mango to, or a
Yeah.
cut piece of pineapple to
Yes.
the main fruit. Now this is grade
Actually.
1. They just could not, because they are
Mhm.
not part of the kitchen. Now I really feel I'm
Yeah.
impressed the way you cook,
Yeah.
bake with your child, but
Right.
not all mothers have the time and they're
True.
doing this. But at
True.
least weekly, once in a week, you all
Yeah,
can bake together.
absolutely.
Or if you are
Completely.
a very hands-on dad, then you can just take out a
Yeah,
Saturday or a weekend day, and then you can just
exactly.
spend about an hour with your child in the kitchen. So that is
Correct.
going to instill positive behavior. There are so many times parents in these parent interaction groups or the parent enrichment camps, one or two hands would go up and they're going to say that my child just cannot eat fruit. And then when you ask
Mm.
the dad that, okay, how many fruits do you eat? Do you like
Do you
papaya? No.
eat?
Do you eat this? No. Do you eat that? No. So
Yeah,
first, again, you have to be
yeah.
good role models,
Role models.
and your
True.
relationship has to be perfect for your child's relationship
Yeah.
to be perfect as well.
Absolutely. And so true, I think there's so much, like I said, I learn from my children, I see them observing me. So I realize that, there's so many times I have changed my behavior consciously, whether it's with respect to food, not just change my behavior, change the way I have worded certain things when it's come to food. Okay, so
Right.
it's something that we have to be so cognizant of, especially with this generation, because this is going to be far more evolved in terms of their ability and their wanting to research than what we're seeing right now. So we have to be able to role model certain behaviors if we want them to imbibe those same kind of approaches, or at least some things which are good, that we've been able to incorporate in our life. So I think given this entire change, and of course a mix of good things that are happening, things that are some challenges, there's been a rise in the entrepreneurial spirit also in
Hmm.
India, of people who are working towards healthy food habits, of how they are making food healthy, consumable, tasty, of the roles of the role of the nutritionists themselves, how critical that has become, in the last almost decade or so now. So I want to just open this question out to both of you also, because it's important for us to understand the context that how has India really enabled the role of these entrepreneurs, of the nutritionists, to become the change catalysts in the current scenario and for the current population.
I go first.
Sure.
Uh, I can say that when you want to scale up, when you want to accelerate the progress in nutrition,
Yes.
it requires high quality evidence based nutrition interventions, which we are doing. I am doing, which that can be scaled to reach large populations effectively.
Right. Correct.
Schools are a perfect model where
Exactly.
it's not just about traditional subjects and learning. It is about life skills now. But how
True.
many schools are able to allow
Yeah.
in a nutritionist, or how many schools are
Yeah.
hiring nutritionists? That is a big
Absolutely.
question mark, because our
Correct.
curriculum is so heavy. And
Yeah.
most of the curriculum, I don't mind saying it, because I've seen it through my children's journey, that it is too laborious, it is text
Yes.
heavy, and you are not, and some of the things are really obsolete. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel that there has to be a way, or there has to be some curriculum related to nutrition that can come in, so we are
Yeah.
addressing at large the children at that particular age and stage. Second
Right.
thing is that when we talk about nutrition policies at the government level, I know they are doing a lot. They're doing
Yeah.
so
Right.
much. They have their missions, they have their interventions, and we
Right.
are not talking about delivery of high impact interventions, including
Correct.
behavior change, communication at scale. What we are talking about is that if we look at it from the individual perspective,
Right.
are we making fair choices that are safe for us as well as for our planets? I mean, if we look
Correct.
at the diet, it is just based on taste. It is not based on, okay, are we putting in the super grains? Are we putting in millets to the diet? That is, far less heavy on the planet rather than rice.
Correct.
So at an individual level, as nutritionists or as dietitian, we're able to make a lot of change and a lot of difference. But
Yes.
like COVID offered or opened doors for me to enter into the school
Yeah.
online portals, where I must have addressed more than 1 lakh students. I reached out in just about 1.5 years. It was
Right.
easy that way, because I
Correct.
think schools were still trying to cope with this remote learning, and they felt that
Yeah.
these workshops are going to help. So schools did open their way. But I think at the government level, it is still
Yeah.
lacking, where we need to be involved in policy making. It's not
Yeah.
just about, like, for example, we talk about the midday meal scheme.
Yes.
It is too heavy on grains itself. That's it. There,
Yeah.
I don't think
Correct.
we are largely addressing the protein also, or we are getting in the
Correct.
fresh produce, greens, and the vegetables. So I think
True.
nutritionists still have to pave their way into the parliament or
Yeah.
into the policy making. So I feel I really want to sort of make an impact there as well. But
Yeah.
largely, I think I I have been, I wouldn't call myself as a change maker, but if I'm able to address, say, 3,000 children today in any one of the schools, normally,
Yes.
the strength of a single school, and even if I'm able to reach 50 schools, and I can make a slight difference
Yeah.
in the lives of those young, uh, uh, our future generation who will be the change makers, then I
Correct.
think I've reached, and I've done quite a bit. I've reached out to a larger community. So I think little bit here, there, we
Yeah.
have a sick
True.
bay. Why can't we have a nutrition bay, or why can't we have a nutrition cell in each and every
Correct.
school at every level?
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
but still, I'm happy with whatever the nutritionists are able, and however they're able to contribute. My book
Yeah.
is still pending, but I think, Kavita, your book must have been read by millions, so at least you've made inroads into so many
Yeah.
households, with people reading your book, and you're able to reach out to so many. So I
Yeah.
think maybe next year same time I would have released or launched my book, which has been long pending. But definitely that is also another way I could probably reach out.
Correct. Absolutely. No, I think it's very interesting to see that, very valid points really from the point of view of, how important it is for, for us firstly as an audience and as a population to also understand the role of a nutritionist and the criticality of the role of the nutritionist. Because I think, I mean, I also work in a job, and I think we've taken years to understand. I work in DEI, diversity and inclusion there. And I used to scream myself hoarse 10 years back that this is going to happen. DEI is going to become a challenge. Diversity issues will become a challenge. And they're waking up now. So the problem
Mm.
is that, it's just so scary and sad because, see, again, like I said, though that has got a business impact, here we're talking about huge health implications. If we don't take the right decisions right now, understanding that, the role that a nutritionist plays is not a good to do thing. It's a must have. We must be recognizing it rather than saying अच्छा ठीक है या let's चलो करते हैं अगर time है तो करते हैं ऐसे नहीं होता. We can't really have that kind of mindset. Kavita, let me share with us also about what do you think the from the point of view of being change makers in the Indian landscape, the role of the nutritionist and these and entrepreneurs working towards it.
So one very good thing. First, Aditi, I'm looking forward to read your book. I love the title, Diet Debauchery, and really looking forward. So hurry up is what I would like to get it out there so that we can all read it.
Yes, yes,
I'll
absolutely.
try my
And
best. It's a
yes,
promise
what
I've
I
made.
feel, yeah, that I feel is frankly the biggest contribution of the nutritionists today.
Yeah,
That they are not just doing one on one, because that's how I
yeah,
started as well as a consultant. They are talking about it, what we're doing today. They are writing about it. There are health columns everywhere. Thankfully, now, when I started writing in 2000, I don't think there were many
yeah,
health writers. Now every media house has a health writer. A lot of nutritionists are writing. Even if they're not writing the full pieces, their quotes and
yeah.
comments are going. So that's one very good change that has happened over the last 20 years. I would say slow, but that has come
But
into
there's
its.
movement.
I'm
Yeah,
very happy about that. A lot of, and writing, trust me, this written word is not going to go anywhere. It's there.
true.
Somebody or the other is going to read it, like
Yeah,
sometime, maybe not when
yeah,
the book is out or when the article is printed. It will be read by a lot many people, and it will be a big
absolutely.
agent of change. That's the other thing. And the third thing that the nutritionists are doing very well are that they're turning entrepreneurs, and I just love their spirit. In the food business, so many
Yes.
health products, and somehow the
Yeah.
pandemic has pushed or accelerated this process, and I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
Suddenly, there are so many health products out there which can
Yeah.
actually claim to be
Qualified.
qualified
Yeah.
health products, not just
Very true.
marketing hype
Correct.
based health products. So these
Absolutely.
three things these nutritionists are doing very well. And you know what? That we've reached this far, I don't know if Aditi will agree or not, is itself a huge achievement, because when I started and when Aditi probably started, we were not given any respect
Yeah.
at
That's
Absolutely.
right.
I
by the
totally agree.
industry, by the market.
Exactly.
We had to fight for every inch in these last
Exactly.
20, 25 years. So it's been a very
Correct.
hard fought battle. So whatever, I mean, we haven't achieved everything. We are still very slow and long way to go. But I think kudos to the community. I think we're doing a good job and we must keep at it, I feel.
Absolutely, and I
Definitely,
completely
definitely.
agree. I completely agree. I mean, from the point of view of, understanding people's reaction, I want to understand because both of you are nutritionists, you're seeing a lot of people coming in or people who do come to you. Do you think people are responding to your nutrition from a proactive perspective or from a reactive perspective? Like the Kara pandemic was another pandemic in the middle of a pandemic. So I'm just saying that, do they do it reactively, or are people actually finally, at least a small portion also, is finally waking up to the fact that, we are making diet related changes proactively, or we are making nutrition related conscious decisions proactively, or are we still in that phase that, I mean, वो उस time था COVID के time पे some things happened and now everybody's back to square one and then waiting for the next big health scare to come and then go in that reactive mode again.
I
So what are
really
you seeing from
I
experience?
really hope not. I just hope this
I
is a
so,
lesson well learned.
yeah,
Trust me, because if we haven't learned anything from this pandemic, then God save us,
yeah,
literally.
absolutely,
So I just feel that these lessons. I mean, of course, people have changed, especially over the last 2.5, 3 years. The
right,
buzzwords have moved from just weight loss to immunity, and from the
correct,
just the weighing scale to health. So health parameters. So that change has come about, but we again have, it's very difficult to say whether we are
yeah,
reactionary or proactive still.
correct,
Some people are very proactive now, and that really makes me happy. There are people who are scheduling, consultancies, or sessions just for the sake of understanding whether they're doing right or wrong. But that percentage is still very small. I would like it to be much more, or a bigger percentage. I hope
correct,
we get there. So we have a long way to go. People are still, I would say, reactionary to quite an extent. Yeah.
right,
I agree as much as probably you would, Simran. Reactionary, yes. I mean, we are still not preventive. COVID came
Definitely.
in now. It was a recent entrant, but we've
correct,
faced Spanish flu. We've faced so many different
yeah,
types of flus. There have been chikungunya, swine flu. What were we doing then? I mean, this was, of course, deadly. And I mean, all my salute to the medical fraternity out there. But um, I think if we think of an aspirational India, it cannot be satisfied with only achieving food
yeah,
security. It has to aim at nutritional security by
yeah,
providing high quality, nutritious food, and the citizens adapting to it, making changes, not just allowing so much of Western food infiltration,
yeah,
growing their own food, do a little bit of your herb growing microgreens out there in the balconies, even if you don't have sprawling
correct,
lawns and enough space. But at the citizen level, we have to go preventive. We have to take a pause, and I think National
yeah,
Nutrition Month is in a way guiding us, or it is trying to tell us that this is the time to pause and take a look at your own diet, do little bit of assessment and see where
Mm.
you are going wrong. You have to
correct,
go preventive, you have to up your protein levels, you have to build immunity, you have to eat the right food, because I think the coming generation, who's going to be another 10 years down the present generation, I'm talking about alpha and all, they are going to face I don't know, we've already come into molecular gastronomy. We have also introduced, have you ever come across charcoal burgers and pizzas? They're all black and they are
Crazy.
made with charcoal. Yes. So,
yes,
how will the new generation adapt to it? Are they going to just ape this culture, what the influencers eat and they've loved it, so even my plate should have this, or I'm going to be just burger during the day, and at night I'll do a regular dal roti sabzi. So all this has to start from, I mean, the change has to come proactively from
Yes.
the people themselves, and these transformative approaches really would accelerate the progress. And
Yeah.
again, I think we are looking at the goal, or we are aiming or inching towards the goal of 2030, where we want to end hunger, food insecurity, all forms of malnutrition. Why don't we also start? We have to be
Yes.
more health conscious and prefer a
Correct.
holistic approach to a healthy lifestyle than rather just popping in pills and kadhas. I think that we need to do away with. We have to build our immunity so strong that come what may, we are standing, because most of the people who have had health issues, be it
Yeah.
coronary problems or diabetes and all, they were at a larger risk. So I think it
Yeah.
starts from there. So a lot
Yes.
of changes have to be made on the plate itself. So that is my take
Absolutely.
on this.
Absolutely. I think, very, very lovely, note on which, we are going to wrap up this discussion today. But I think there is a wealth of information that's come out here, from Kavita, from you, Aditi, the experience you're bringing, in terms of, from the beginning of the session where we started talking about, how the kind of food items we are consuming that has changed, in terms of the food that we're actually consuming, giving rise to challenges like, say, children being overweight or child obesity, which were issues we never saw earlier. I think a couple of great ideas that came out, in terms of the factors like discipline, which is so important, factors like access to authentic sources of information, which is so important, factors like sticking to the basics, home cooked food, moderation, what is grown around you. These are so important things to keep in mind. Very importantly, people should not hesitate to reach out to qualified, credible nutritionists, because instead of self-medicating, I mean, it's as bad as self-medication, right? If you're
Yeah.
consuming a diet which your body does not really need. So nutritional needs are different for different people. People should not really just go out there, blindly follow something that is trending or being subscribed to by somebody else. There should be no shame in seeking help. For your nutrition, getting the right guidance is top priority. That's very, very important. All organizations, also schools, also should work towards the kind of work both of you are doing in terms of raising the level of food literacy across populations in India. Then again, I think from a holistic point of view, we're talking about mindful eating. So even like I think Kavita mentioned comfort food rituals. How do we focus on comfort food? What is it that we define as comfort food? And similarly, like you mentioned, Aditi, that we need to identify what kind of hunger is existing, right? So emotional hunger, physical hunger, and what is satiating it. So try to gauge, understand your body, try to understand what is the kind of response it gives to a certain kind of food item, and then address that without feeling any guilt. Try to understand, take it as a step forward, take it as information to help yourself further, rather than guilting yourself towards it. And I think lastly, I'll take those words from Aditi, that food security is important, but nutritional security is something that
Absolutely.
we need to start attuning ourselves to in terms of our thought process as an entire nation, not just as individuals. So thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you so much, Kavita, for a very insightful discussion. I'm sure I'm going to be listening into a lot of these things, making my notes. You must have seen me writing in the middle also, because there are certain things that I know very surely I want to apply, in my life, in my, at my house, in a more proactive way, so that, like I said, if we want to do something, we want our children to lead healthy lives, or have a healthy attitude towards nutrition and food, it starts with us. So thank you so
Simran,
much.
you're as it is doing an amazing job. I think I've told you, I've marked you as the mother that deserves a medal. And Kavita, all my books that are authored by you, in my library, I'm going to bring them to you. You have to sign them, and I'll have a better time reading them. So thank you so much. Thanks.
Done, done. Let's do that soon.
Thank you so much to all of you. It was an extremely enlightening discussion, and it was really, we're really all very fortunate to hear you speak on the things that you spoke about. And thank you once again for joining us, and thank you, Daily Hunt. So with this, we'll end this live session. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.